This is the Dan Batard Show with the StuGotz podcast.
I have been remiss going 5 minutes so far without talking about what you did this weekend in a celebrity poker tournament. So you go ahead and give your version of events before I bury you. Go ahead, and because these guys aren't even going to believe. These guys are not even going to believe what you did during Hank Azaria's celebrity poker tournament, in which all I'm going to tell you, and StuGotz can defend himself here, StuGotz legitimately started the tournament by cheating. I'm not making this up. He managed to cheat. StuGotz, you started with 12,000 chips and everyone else at the table had 8,000. You absolutely cheated because you were stealing blinds, virtually stealing blinds, and I couldn't believe that you did that.
Well, listen, here's the deal, okay? It was a 2 p.m. start, 2 p.m. sharp. I was there at 2 p.m. ready to play poker. It is not my fault. Now, it's PokerStars.net. That's where they held the tournament. And cards started shuffling. Cards started ending up in front of me. Cards were being dealt. Money was being wagered. I was asked if I wanted to ante. I was just, certain things were happening. But the only one at the table was me. And no one else was there. Batard got there a couple of minutes later, and eventually it was just me and Dan. But I was just doing my thing. I thought the tournament started at 2.
All right, stop.
And you're right, I was collecting everybody's ante.
All right,
and it felt good.
Let me explain to you what it is that was happening here. The truth, not StuGotz's version of events, okay? Yep. So this is how it happens, all right? It's a celebrity poker tournament, and if you thought to yourself that John Hamm enters a chat room with ham bone in the house, you'd be correct. Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Are you surprised that John Hamm enters a chat room with the phrase ham bones in the house? StuGotz was enjoying seeing photographs of Don Cheadle in his home. But before we get to the fact that StuGotz was stealing from both charity and celebrities, okay? What? I want you guys to understand how this was happening. So I show up at the table and cards are being dealt, but there's only one person betting. So what's happening is, as this moves around the table and everyone's time runs out, StuGotz just keeps getting the money. Every time he bets, the money comes from StuGotz. So he's slowly bleeding people who are having trouble getting in the room. And I'm on the Skype, and I'm watching these people, and they're saying, I'm trying to get in, I can't get in. And I'm yelling at StuGotz in the chat room, StuGotz, stop taking everybody's money. We don't know these people. We said, like, I'm yelling at him in the chat room. I'm like, StuGotz, stop cheating. And StuGotz's chip total ended up at 12,000 before the thing even got started, while everyone else was starting at 8,000 because he'd stolen so much of their money. And he still finished last.
Everything Dan just told you is the truth.
Look at StuGotz. He is beaming. He is radiant. Chris Koji is beaming and radiant adjacent. Unbelievable. These two guys have spent how many years hating Tom Brady? How long, StuGotz, have you hated Tom Brady?
It's been 2 decades, and with one stare, 5 seconds long, I went from hating Brady to loving Tom Brady.
All right, so that is the definition right there of sports hate. Chris Koji and StuGotz ended up talking to Tom Brady for the latest stupidity. The latest stupidity has Rory McIlroy as the second best guest. I am insane with jealousy and rage that on the day I dropped Bob Costas, StuGotz has 2 guests better than I do. on his podcast. Greg Koji of the Miami Herald is with us, and we will get to him in a moment. But was there anything interesting from the interview? Because while it's great to have Brady, who cares, says Mike Ryan. While it's great to have Brady, let me put it this way. Is there anything ESPN is going to take and say, we want to put it on SportsCenter?
I don't know. I don't care. I view it as 7 perfectly mediocre minutes with the biggest star in sports, and I will take it. Okay?
All right. So how did this happen? Can you explain to me what happened here? I don't understand how the only one to land a Tom Brady interview since Howard Stern is you and Chris Koji.
The only people to have Tom Brady on, as you just pointed out, Howard Stern, Stupidity, Chris Koji, and Charlie Hume. I mean, that.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so wait a minute. Okay, hold on. There it is.
Go.
All right.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how this happened. Now, let me backtrack for a second and tell the audience that doesn't remember Old Money Charlie. Cody, what do you know? What do you know about Charlie Hume? You've been on the show. He was here for a while. He helped make us make a transition to television and Fusion Television before it became ESPN News. What do you know just off the top of your head about Charlie Hume?
I remember Charlie. I mean, I don't know about him. I certainly know who you're talking about. Old Money, sure. Okay. I remember he had some tie to the Kraft family or something through his grandpa, something like that.
That is an important detail. It's the one I would have led with instead of the Fleming nothing that you said at the beginning instead. But that is the part of the story that makes this happen. Charlie Hume worked for us, did some interviews. The shipping container picked on him. And next thing we know, he's at every big sporting event sitting courtside because his grandfather is some sort of godfather who calls Brady a friend.
Charlie spent a week at the Final Four, then went to, at the height of the Golden State Warriors, the 3:30 game of the week after the Final Four, sat with the Lakers front row for that game with his grandfather, went back to the NCAA championship game, and when that was done, hopped on a PJ, private jet, and went to friends and family
that
day.
That really ruins the efficiency of the PJ. It really does when you have to explain what it is.
You're right. It's a good point by you. And then spent the entire week at Augusta. That is Charlie Hume. That's how we explain Charlie.
Yes, and so we call him Old Money Charlie. And what? He called in a favor, or he's been telling you for years that he's going to do this for you, or what happened?
So Charlie's grandfather is a member at Seminole Golf Club, and Seminole is hosting a charity tournament this weekend for COVID relief with Ricky Fowler and Dustin Johnson and Rory, who's our guest, and a fourth golfer that we don't know his name. We simply call him the fourth golfer. Okay. And those guys are having a charity event at Seminole, and Charlie's grandfather is a member at Seminole. And so, Brady was playing there, Rory was playing there, and Charlie's grandfather, of course, was playing there. And so Charlie's grandfather was able to grab Tom for us as they came off the course. And so the reason we had him on is they wanted to promote the tournament, and then next week's tournament that Tom is playing in with Tiger Phil and Peyton Manning. And so we figured we'd do it right as he came off the course with Charlie's grandfather at Seminole on Friday night, and it was delightful.
I'm assuming when you say you don't know if there's anything that SportsCenter will use, the answer is no, because you have decent news judgment. So if there was something on there that was worth using, my guess is that you would have a stronger opinion on that.
I asked him if he was tired of beating Peyton, and he said he'll never grow tired of beating Peyton. He says the guy he'd be nervous about if he was playing golf against him was Eli. I don't know if SportsCenter will use it, and again, I don't care. Tom Brady was on my podcast.
All right, that is true. That is why he is bigger than Oprah, or it is bigger than Oprah. Or Chris, what was your the way that you looked at him was creepy and disturbing.
Thank you. For a 6-second period, it was just two guys looking at each other, talking. Tom Brady, Chris Koji, for like a 6 or 7 second period, just us, just two guys. And my big takeaway from this was Tom Brady must be legitimate friends with Charlie's grandpa for him to actually say yes to that ask. Because what an annoying ask that was. He's coming off the golf course, and that's why the whole day I'm like, this is not going to happen. We are not going to get Tom Brady. It was a shot in the dark. Charlie was texting about it all day, and I'm like, there's no way it's actually going to happen. And then he actually said yes. I was like, Tom Brady's not going to talk to some podcast he's never heard of. And he did it, and I can't believe it. I'm still on cloud nine.
Dan, you would have loved this because we're sitting home. Charlie pulls me off the golf course on Friday night, so I'm already in a bad spot, right? It's Friday night. I'm tired. I finally get to the weekend. Pulls me off the golf course, says it's going to happen. 6:15, I'm sitting at this desk ready to go. 6:55, Brady is still not called in. And so what do? Chris was there. I start ripping into Brady. I start ripping into Charlie. I'm telling him at 7 o'clock we pull the plug. A minute later, Brady appears on my screen and everything changes. Charlie's the greatest. Brady's the greatest. I fall in love with, I still have questions about Charlie, but I have fallen in love with TB12. He's my guy. That's my guy.
Billy, you've been making a face through most of this conversation. I don't blame you at all. We are going to get accused of jealousy. In my case, it's true because I got Bob Costas today and thought I was accomplishing something, and StuGotz buried me because it's very important that we compete on the guest front. But Billy's been making faces throughout this. Are you annoyed by how fanboy they are?
It's like everyone on this show is allergic to being nice. You can't let StuGotz and Chris have their moment and have their podcast. StuGotz can't just be grateful that he got Tom Brady. He has to rip people. Why can't just, hey, Tom Brady was on the thing. It was, whatever. By the way, I listened to it this morning to answer your question about newsworthy. There was one question that was asked by Charlie that would have been newsworthy that was about the break-in and about the park. And StuGotz goes, let me interrupt for a second and give you my thoughts on this. And Tom just never answered the question because StuGotz answered it.
Charlie wasn't stealing my thunder.
It is so good. Cody, are you at all disturbed by how fanboy Chris Cody, a lifelong Dolphin fan, and StuGotz, a lifelong Jet fan, after hating Tom Brady for 20 years, they now stare at him for 7 minutes. He apparently talk at him instead of let him answer questions. And now they have swooned and fallen in love. Is it charming or unbecoming to Greg Cody, veteran Miami Herald columnist, who again doesn't have a back in my day today?
No, I'm actually oddly proud of Christopher because I know how thrilled he is. I'm sure his resume is being updated as we speak to mention that he once had a conversation with Tom Brady. No, it's a cheap thrill. Good for him.
Is this the proudest you've ever been of your son?
I got cut off.
All right, excellent work as always, Greg. We appreciate it. Way to ruin the end of the segment.